Hey, what's up, y'all? I know I promised I'd make the Gaul versus My Hero video next, and believe me, that is coming, but I saw this video come across my page, and I couldn't, oh my god, where do I begin? Let's just go from the top. To their credit, the video does start off fairly well. Professor Fiction's scale of the Phantom Troupe in AP is accurate enough, I guess, scaling above Bonolenov's multi-city block level Hatsu and the Chimera Ant Beetle's small town level explosion. That's all fine and dandy for the most part. We then get to Tylearned speaking on Maki's AP scaling. He somewhat arbitrarily decides to use anime feats for Maki, even though only manga feats are used for Hunter x Hunter for some reason, but if anime feats are deemed permissible here, his conclusions are still iffy. The first feat he brings up from the recent episode and where he places it, that is agreeable. But then he says this.
This is fairly consistent with the manga too, as weaker characters like Charged Mechamaru can shoot blasts that generate over 18 kilotons of TNT. In the anime, this is actually a significantly stronger feat, with Mechamaru's 1-year charge coming out to around over 500 kilotons, and the 2 to 5 year charge ranging into the few megatons of TNT. It's pretty clear that the anime is just a lot more cracked in comparison to the manga, but regardless, you can get Maki into the town level range or single digit kilotons at the very worst. So when it comes to overall AP, it's clear that Maki is actually going into this fight with a pretty big advantage.
Okay, can I just first say that I really hate indecisive power scaling. You, Tai, have just said that Mechamaru in the anime has attacks in the megaton ranges, which is city level. This is a character you said is weaker than Maki, so the bare minimum for Maki would be city level, not town level or single digit kilotons. Why would Maki ever be a fraction of a fraction of a fraction as powerful as someone that she is stronger than? Just commit to the bit and argue Maki at city level, bro. Anyway, my pet peeves aside, this scale of Mechamaru doesn't make any sense in the first place. You didn't show the calc you were referencing for Mechamaru, so I found it myself because 500 kilotons to several megatons is a lot more impressive than I remember the feat being even in the anime. So my eyebrows were definitely raised, and sure enough, the calc is dubious. The methodology here to get Mechamaru to the city levels of power is by first calculating the kinetic energy of Mechamaru moving, and then multiplying that by the time frame of his charge, i.e. 1 year, to then assert that the energy of a single blast is equivalent to the accumulative energy of Mechamaru in motion over this duration of time. The obvious problem here is that this calc assumes that 1 second of curse energy charge is equivalent to the kinetic energy of Mechamaru moving, which is then multiplied by the amount of seconds in a year. This is completely unsubstantiated and is just blatant headcanon. We do not know the ratio between curse energy charge and Mechamaru's kinetic energy, and that's not even getting into the fact that this calc is upscaling an explicitly heat-based attack based off the accumulation of kinetic energy and assuming these things are exactly 1-to-1. All of this makes zero sense, and without this fraudulent method of calcing, you are left with visually lackluster feats for Mechamaru. Also note that this is how the manga version of this feat is also quantified. So it's equally liable to just be dismissed because like I said, this entire method makes no sense and is flawed. So anime or manga wise, this feat just isn't anywhere near that strong point blank period. And without this, all you have going for Maki is the lackluster single digit kiloton feat I already mentioned. This is literally weaker than the small town level explosion from the Caribbean Beetle, which mind you the Caribbean Beetle ignored despite it literally coming from his rear end. So Caribbean Beetle's durability would be far above even this, and of course every Troupe member scales laughably above this beetle, as Professor Fiction himself even explains.
A possible higher scaling chain would be using this beetle chimera ant that farts on Killua and destroys a giant chunk of forest. This feat has been consistently calculated to the 1 to 3 kiloton range or around small town level. Like I mentioned, all of the Troupe can defeat or even one-shot officer ants with their strongest moves, and the top tier members like Crollo would scale to Silva Zoldyck, who can one-shot Chitu, who is an even higher rank of Chimera Ant.
So if anyone is to have the quote-unquote massive advantage here, it is the Phantom Troupe.
Many characters in Hunter x Hunter are able to react to sound waves, react to bullets, missiles, tanks, and so on. Kurapika, shortly before the York New City arc, can parry handgun fire with his chains. Later on, Killua believes he can face tanks and fighter jets, which shoot missiles or shells at many times faster than sound. and Gon in the Greed Island arc was able to blitz a random Hunter at upwards of Mach 1.7, this being the same Gon that couldn't even take a single step before Maki completely blitzed and restrained him. We can comfortably scale each of the Phantom Troupe to faster than sound, seeing as they were each able to react to Uvogen's Sonic Scream. The anime actually nerfs this feat because the troupe all cover their ears right before Uvogen does it, but in the manga, Uvogen directly says they're all fast enough to cover their ears, so in this case it's actually more of a speed thing. It's not unreasonable either, seeing as Uvogen is able to catch bullets in his teeth like it's not a big deal, with this feat being calculated at Mach 5. Many of the Phantom Troupe are able to fight alongside Uvogen and even think they'd be able to face Kurapika, who they know defeated Uvogen. With that, we can comfortably scale each member of the Phantom Troupe in the Mach 1 to 5 range pretty consistently.
There is so much wrong here, it's not even funny. First off, Mach 1 to 5 troop members in the big 2026. To put this into perspective, bullet timing is something that even the likes of Tocino could do, with his Nen constructs alone being in excess of supersonic speeds, as shown by them intercepting the bullets at very, very close ranges. Tocino is able to do this. A Netless Hunter exam Killua was already moving at sonic to supersonic speeds himself. To briefly explain, the fastest humans can perceive is in 13 millisecond time frames. In that same time frame, sound could only move 4.6 meters. Killua can not only move faster than perception, but do so while crossing distances relative to, if not larger than, 4.6 meters. Again, Netless Killua at the beginning of the series. Come Heaven's Arena, we straight up see this level of speed proven as completely and utterly irrelevant. Killua's opponent could move his whips at sustained faster than eyesight speeds, and his remark on normal people being unable to see them or keep up implies that he is also capable of perceiving the speed of his whips. His whips, for reference, are just shy of 5 meters in length, and they are moving omnidirectionally around him, so the distance they are crossing is several times that, as in several times faster than the aforementioned 4.6 meter distance that sound crosses in these time frames. This would tread into hypersonic territory, and Realvel's own reactions and perceptions would scale. As for how this relates to Killua, even in Heaven's Arena, Killua could move faster than Realvel could perceive and sees these aforementioned near hypersonic whips in slow motion at a standstill. So Heaven's Arena Killua literally sees supersonic to hypersonic attacks in slow motion, but that's only the beginning. On Greed Island, through sparring Benoit and training with Bisky, Killua and Gon only grew stronger and stronger. At first, it took Gon and Killua teaming up just to take down an exhausted and fatigued Benoit. But eventually they got faster to the point they could each take down a rested Benoit in a 1v1. To really hammer this home, prior to meeting Bisky, Gon and Killua were getting absolutely clowned on by hyper puffballs. They were unable to react to them or track them, getting blitzed by them time and time again. In fact, we see that they could only move a few feet as the balls themselves bounce around the entire battlefield, moving dozens upon dozens of times the distance Gon and Killua were moving in that same time frame. Needless to say, the speed disparity was massive and seemed insurmountable. However, after the Benoit training, Gon is able to react to, track, and even intercept a hyper puffball in motion. And mind you, Gon and Killua are equals at this point. Considering this massive boost in speed for Gon and Killua, who already came into the arc well above hypersonic, this would put them well into double-digit Mach. And funnily enough, we literally see a high hypersonic feat performed by Gon at the end of Greed Island. I have absolutely no idea why you brought up a Mach 1 feat for Gon in Green Island when in that same arc we see Gon's kick move fast enough to outspeed an explosion. As Genthu's explosion is visibly in the middle of expansion, we see Gon's kick tag Genthu right in the chin. Gon's kick would naturally have to move a far larger distance than Genthu's explosions in this instance, covering Genthu's entire height, which is consistent with the anime depiction as well. We also know that Gon would have had to kick in the time intervals these explosions were detonated, as Gon was exploiting Genthu's defenseless head area because of the aura he expends using his Hatsu explosions. Given that Genthu is only vulnerable when he uses these explosions, and that we don't see Gon move until after Genthu activates Little Flower, it is more than reasonable to assert Gon attacked within this time frame, which fits in line with the pacing and structure of the scene. Considering the average detonation explosion is just shy of hypersonic in speed, Gon's feat is well in excess of Mach 40. Mind you, again, Gon and Killua are still equals. Come the Chimera Ant arc, we see them get faster and faster and faster, with the beginning stages of the arc seeing Gon and Killua manhandled by a Netless Ramot in close quarters, forcing them both to use Hatsu to win. However, as events pass, Killua is able to remove Illumi's needle, and when faced against a now Nen-amped Ramat, he is able to completely and utterly blitz him. So there are several layers above even the aforementioned Mach 40 plus feat that I already showed for Gon. Tying this back to the Troupe, we know that the high tier spiders should scale to Killua's speed in base form. A great example of this is when Ahsoka asked for Illumi's permission to kill Killua. Though this was asked with the intention of setting off Illumi's bloodlust, the fact that Illumi took Ahsoka's question seriously at all, to the point he lost all control and was engulfed in rage, implies that at the very least Ahsoka is capable of doing this. This is a notion only reaffirmed later on when Ahsoka contemplates on whether he should kill Killua and invoke the wrath of Illumi, which is consistent with the fact that Killua is directly compared to squadron leaders in his base form, which even the likes of Silva can casually one-shot. Mach 5 is just stupid, I'm gonna be honest. Even the feats you yourself are citing aren't just Mach 5. You showed Cheeto's feat, but that feat is nowhere near being just Mach 5. As I'm sure you know, not all bullet timing feats are created equal, and the shorter distances you react to bullets from, the faster the feat is. Just the same, the more distance you cross relative to the bullet, the faster you are. That's why Uvogan's bullet timing is Mach 5 despite the gun itself obviously not being that fast. With this in mind, Cheeto's feat would actually range from Mach 17 as a low end to Mach 27 if you were to crunch the numbers. Again, this is a feat you yourself are literally showing and ignoring at the same time. And just in case we've forgotten where Cheeto fits into all of the scaling, we've seen the likes of Silva one-shot Cheeto. Though Cheeto wasn't paying attention at first, this doesn't matter as it is explicitly stated that Cheeto would have been tagged and killed whether he was looking up or not. Keep in mind that Silva and Zeno are blatant inferiors to Crollo. So even just going off of your arguments, the relevant Troupe members should be several times the speeds you've cited bare minimum. So many feats were ignored, it's just crazy. We've seen Ahsoka during his fight with Crollo see an explosion expand in slow motion and massively outspeed it as it is in the middle of expansion. He moves notably faster to the point that he is literally moving at faster than eyesight speeds on the same panel that the explosion is shown to be expanding in slow motion. The degree to which Ahsoka is outspeeding this explosion would be well into double-digit Mach territory, and he later has another feat of outspeeding an explosion which would also be well beyond just Mach 5. So I hope by now it is clear that Mach 1 to 5 Troupe, or being vaguely above Mach 1 to 5, is nothing short of egregious lowball. And this becomes even more asinine when you factor in anime feats, which we are, considering Tylearned is doing that for JJK. Following the trend of anime feats being more impressive than the manga, Cheeto's anime feat is actually insane, easily hundreds upon hundreds of times faster than sound. He moves just shy of a dozen meters in the same time frame the bullet is crossing a fraction of that distance. Moving so fast he is disappearing in the same frame that we see a bullet moving in intense slow motion. This easily puts Cheeto at massively hypersonic, which as you can imagine massively upscales the Troupe since anime feats are permissible by what Tylearned was saying. I really don't know why the Hunter x Hunter anime was ignored because it only further reinforces supersonic and hypersonic as complete and utter fodder to even beginning of series Hunter x Hunter. We've seen a fresh out of Hunter exam Kurapika see a supersonic projectile in slow motion, dodging it as it is mere inches away from his face. This Kurapika would mind you be inferior to post-Hunter exam Gon, let alone Killua, as Kurapika was not even fast enough to perceive Goto's coins, which Gon was able to. So that means that even post-Hunter exam Gon and Killua are notably above supersonic. So how could you possibly have the Troupe at Mach 1 to 5? Oh my god. Now I'm such a stubborn person, I'm going to venture to prove the Troupe wins even without relying on anime feats. But I want it to be understood that if we are entertaining anime feats, there's no debate. Cheeto's feat in the anime is better than literally anything that has been shown for Maki. Facts.
A higher level of speed may come if you think that the Troupe would at least scale a bit to Pito's travel speed. The reason I say this is because many fighters like Morel and Knuckle were able to react to Yuppie's attacks, who does scale to base Pito. Base Pito, the moment they were born, was able to jump at speeds greater than Mach 100 to rip Kite's arm off. This is definitely a higher end interpretation as Pito's feat also does have some confusing variables such as the distance they jumped, but regardless it is something the Troupe could scale.
This is why I say the state of Hunter x Hunter debating is just so weird on YouTube, because Professor Fiction, after lowballing the Troupe to just dirt, makes this weird argument to save face about the Troupe scaling to Pito's travel speed? But what? This is just a really weird and roundabout way to scale the Troupe members. Like assigning them some arbitrary percentage of Pito's travel speed and using Yuppie fighting Morel and Knuckle as some sort of basis for this vague scaling definitely doesn't make sense when Pito explicitly scales above Yuppie. So like what? Oh my god. Alright, anyway, come on.
And if you're one of those people that do think that JJK is just definitively capped by the Mach 3 statement.
Yes, I am one of those people that think Maki is capped by the Mach 3 showing. Why wouldn't I? I mean, let me remind everyone what happened here. Maki explicitly needed preparation to deal with an attack that she thought was only the speed of sound, only to then get completely and utterly blitzed by a Mach 3 character covering hundreds of feet of distance. Mind you, reacting to Mach 3 from that far distance away would require far less than Mach 3 reactions, and Maki still failed to react. I mean, this is about as explicit as it gets. JJK itself portrays Mach 3 speed as that which destroys the body without defensive measures or being extraordinarily durable. So that speed is definitely not something that is casually exceeded or irrelevant to most of the verse. Maki herself was only able to beat Naoya, the Mach 3 character in question, not by moving Mach 3 herself, but by anticipating Naoya's movements and using precog. So let's first make it clear that the narrative is insanely consistent and straightforward on the fact that Mach 3 is beyond what Maki can deal with without the use of precog.
I do think that JJK is just definitively capped by the Mach 3 statement. For one, Maki was faster than that. And secondly, there's similar things that can be said about Hunter x Hunter as well, such as one of the absolute top tiers in the verse, Isaac Netero, getting hyped up for a faster than sound punch.
This is so obviously not comparable. What? Why is the Hunter x Hunter representation here capping about Hunter x Hunter and trying to lowball them? I don't understand. Like, let me explain the difference, because I don't even believe you don't know the difference. I just think you're being dishonest. Mach 3 is an immovable, fixed number that Maki is shown to be inferior to, as in, an entire fight is written where the central conflict is a Mach 3 character being too fast for her, and she later develops precog to compensate for it in the rematch. Again, even achieving Mach 3 speeds is established to damage the body. These are the rules of the verse, point blank, period. That is about as firm a speed cap an author can even give you. It's baked into the narrative itself. In contrast, quote, leaving sound behind in the wake of his strikes is not a cap at all. At absolute best, you could argue that this implies Netero prior to returning to the dojo was not faster than sound. But this literally means nothing, as Netero prior to his return to the dojo was in the midst of training and growing stronger. As in, by definition, he was not in his prime. This hypothetical subsonic Netero in training exists in a complete vacuum and affects zero scaling in the verse. We have complete clarity on how Maki is intended and shown to compare to Mach 3. Professor Fiction, I will personally cash app you $50 if you could explain to me how Chrollo and Ahsoka are intended by the narrative to be slower than Netero in training before he returns to the dojo. This will be an impossible task for you because literally every impressive feat we know of Netero happens well after he leaves sound behind in his wake. In this video, you don't even attempt to articulate how Netero in training being subsonic affects the Troupe. Like, so why is this a valid argument? Why is this a valid comparison?
Or Bonelanov hyping up his speed of sound Jupiter attack.
This is dumb for several reasons. One, the anti-feat in question is not being able to outrun sound. This is meaningless as an anti-feat because we all know that combat speed is different from travel speed. I shouldn't even have to explain that having lackluster travel speed means nothing when speaking of combat and reaction speed in fiction. And even if it did, so what? Literally all you're showing me is a fodder chimera ant that literally every relevant Troupe member scales over, failing to outrun sound. So what? How is that a cap on the Phantom Troupe speed? They're already superior to them. Bonolenov literally turns this dude into mincemeat. How are we pretending like this affects any scaling?
or a high-ranking Chimera ant hyping up his faster-than-sound harpoon.
The effort in this video shows, because you're talking about Leo, but you're showing a scan of P2 and Gon? What? Anyway, to be more specific, he's obviously talking about Leo's harpoon being thrown at sonic speed. Again, Professor, please explain to me what the cap is here. No one fails to react to this attack. I mean, Leo only uses his harpoon after he immobilizes his target with his whirlpool. So if anything, this directly shows sonic speed is not relevant, as it's only used when his opponent is compromised and unable to move. He's only willing to use it after immobilizing morale, which implies that it wouldn't have been effective otherwise. So this whole argument is just dumb.
You can say a lot of these things because authors don't always think of all the connotations of their statements when they write them. So I do think it's more consistent to look at things holistically for both series.
You can make a good drinking game taking a shot for every time I say this argument is stupid in this video, because this argument is stupid. This isn't just some miscellaneous one-off statement that has no narrative importance. The premise of Maki's entire fight with Naoya is that she cannot deal with Mach 3, and by the rules of the verse and how Mach 3 speeds would affect someone like Maki, given it damages the body, we again know she is not intended to be faster than these speeds. Like, I feel like I'm being gaslit. This is not just some one-off statement. This is literally rules of the verse being established. This is an entire fight written with the conflict of Mach 3 being too fast. Like, what are you asking me to ignore the plot? What are we talking about?
Always funny to talk about due to this infamous statement right here. Before we even try attempting to just say JJK caps at Mach 3 aside from Gojo and Sukuna, let's make a quick note of the fact that Maki is weaving this same Naoya after the statement was made.
She is doing this with precog. This is not speed based. This argument doesn't mean anything for Maki being faster than Mach 3, because in the scan you are literally showing, it confirms she is anticipating his movements beforehand.
But the most important feat to note of the anime, of course, is Toji perceiving lightning in slow motion, which of course Toji would need to be much faster than Mach 3 to even do this. Now, this feat is pretty shaky, but regardless, the calc for this feat doesn't come out to exactly lightning speed. But this would mean at the very worst, when using this calc, Maki is moving well beyond thousands of times the speed of sound, which I feel is a little bit of a highball for the verse, but when we're using the anime feats, it's actually not that crazy to say she's relative to this speed, if not a little slower.
Okay, bro, oh my god. There is a difference between allowing anime feats as well as manga feats and just blatantly asking us to ignore the manga. I feel like I'm being gaslit. I don't know how it could get more explicit than this. This is in your face, spoon-fed, irrefutable. Like, if I'm an author and I'm trying to establish a character is like Mach 3, bro, it's like it gets to a point where like I could literally like spell it out for you several times and like somehow my reading base would still be like, yeah, that's wrong. I'm wrong about what I am literally telling you about these characters. I don't understand how there's any room for you to still try and pretend like Maki being thousands of times faster than Naoya's Mach 3 speed is remotely within the realm of logic and possibility. If you were arguing using anime feats only for Maki, then we could have this discussion, but you're using the anime and manga, and it's made crystal clear how fast she is and how fast she isn't in the manga. You can have town level Maki, fine, but this lightning speed quad Mach Maki needs to be retired. It's been debunked, point blank, period.
And another thing that's going to be tough for the Phantom Troupe is that many of the members are more prone to taking things head on. Uvogan, for example, probably seeing this girl wielding a sword is just going to think that he can block it just to get both his arms chopped off.
Based on literally what? Like, why is the Hunter x Hunter representation getting everything wrong? Based on literally what evidence is Uvogan the type of character to just sit idly by and let himself be cut? Based on what? It's definitely not based on anything in the story, because we've seen Uvogan dodge attacks and be cognizant of the power of attacks. The clip you are literally showing, shows Uvogan dodging attacks. It's the anime depiction of what I'm showing you. I don't know, bro. When you edit these videos, The goal should be to have on the screen some like type of evidence that substantiates the claim you're making. This is, oh my god.
Similarly, something Hisoka does a lot in combat is use his bungee gum to catch his enemies' weapons or fists to stop them from reaching him, and then they're trapped in his bungee gum. While this is really good and many powerful and skilled weapon users like Nobunaga thinks it's a very powerful ability, Soul Split Katana just cuts through everything. It doesn't matter how tough or the material, Soul Split Katana just cuts through it. Meaning if Hisoka tries to block Soul Split Katana with bungee gum, it's gonna cut through his bungee gum and proceed to cut Hisoka as well.
Again, the Hunter x Hunter representation is literally just making stuff up. Like I literally making stuff up. Hisoka only uses his bungee gum to block concussive attacks such as Razor's Volley or Goto's coins, which can then be used to not just catch them, but rebound them and fire them back. I mean, like, I don't know if this person has even read Hunter x Hunter, because it's very much a staple of the series that Hisoka says bungee gum has the properties of rubber and gum. How do rubber and gum work? Does rubber and gum, if you have a knife, and you try to cut through gum and cut through rubber, is it just going to bounce that back? Is it going to catch that? Does rubber and gum in real life not work better against just blunt pressure compared to using a sharp object? Which is why every single instance of Hisoka using bungee gum to defend against attacks has never been, you can't show me a single time he's used it against a piercing attack. Zero. In fact, every time we see him against piercing attacks, he tries to dodge it if he can. And I'll show you evidence, which you haven't been doing. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? This argument, like, well, actually, if Maki is running at Ahsoka will make a bungee gum shield and get cut. Like, what? Oh my god. All right, move on, bro. And also, why are you just ignoring that, like, bungee gum has other applications that could help against Maki's weapon? Like, Hisoka could easily just use bungee gum to pull the sword away from Maki and disarm her. As I'll get into, Hisoka's lifting strength and just the lifting and raw strength of Hunter x Hunter in general eclipses JJK. Like, 4-tonner, 16-tonner, 64-tonner level strength is just beyond casual for relevant Hunter x Hunter characters. Hisoka would easily overpower Maki when it comes to a tug of war for her weapon. So, like, what are we talking about?
While I do think the Phantom Troupe probably have versatility over Maki, not only does Maki have extreme skill in hand-to-hand combat, but like was Fiction was just previously mentioning time and time again, the Soul Split Katana is an end-all be-all to pretty much any debate or conversation in a one-on-one fight with the Phantom Troupe.
No, Ty, the end-all be-all here is Maki being way too slow to tag any notable troupe member. She gets beaten down by Uvogen, cut down by Phaeton, etc. 1v1 or not, Maki's losing here. Period.
That being said, if the group were to all try and jump at her, I don't see why this really makes a difference. We already saw what happened when a relative group of people tried jumping Maki, who, mind you, are all significantly inferior to her.
Who cares? What kind of argument is this? What? Yeah, this group of characters jumped Maki and failed, so this completely different group of characters with completely different abilities jumping Maki, they would also fail. Like, what? This doesn't even make internal sense, because you literally admit the Zenin clan are all significantly inferior to Maki, and also say that the troupe are stronger than the Zenin clan.
Now, I'm not saying I'm not just making fun of the Phantom Troupe here and saying they are trash and they're gonna be doing just as bad as the Zenin clan, because obviously that is not true. They are obviously stronger than those fighters.
So why in the hell are you even making a comparison between them in the first place? What?
However, in the grand scheme of things, not only can Maki move much faster than everyone else to pretty much avoid anything that could potentially harm her, which, if I'm being honest, there's really nothing that they have that can harm her, but she's also strong enough to pretty much just OHKO any of the members at full power.
Maki is not faster at all. I already debunked that. The troupe are stronger, as I've already shown, so obviously they could all hurt her even with just conventional attacks. Especially when they have piercing attacks, not just blunt force, but literally like swords and guns. Like, what are we, bro? Another annoying thing about this take is that you are literally just ignoring abilities. Maki has 0 resistance to Shaunark's black voice, for example, which would allow him to control her body after tagging her with an antenna. Maki has no answer to Hisoka using bungee jump to incapacitate her. He was able to do this to Machi, who has way more raw strength than Maki. Machi scales over York New Killua in strength, who would already have casual 16-tonner strength. There's literally nothing stopping Hisoka from either restraining Maki with bungee gum or just ragdolling her. Heck, Maki doesn't even have the resistance to not get Nen crushed at the start of the fight. Like, this is what I'm saying. If you are a Hunter x Hunter debater, why are you ignoring and not even addressing these things? To clarify, Nen Crush is essentially just exposure to malicious Nen, which explicitly destroys the mind. Hisoka flexing his malicious Nen to Gon and Killua at Heaven's Arena completely paralyzed them and even could have killed them if it went any longer. Maki has no mental resistances to speak of that would let her endure Hisoka's Nen Crush. This fight would honestly just end as soon as it begins.
Look, hear me out. People love to hype up Crollo's prep time, but the thing with this is we've seen Crollo use prep time one time, and that was after multiple years of prep. Look, Crollo is not gonna bring the Phantom Troop around the campfire, drop a plan in like 30 seconds, and then run in and go take down Maki. That's not how it works.
The audacity to just ignore all these abilities and imply that Crollo needs prep time to beat Maki when she can't resist any of the abilities that you ignored is just insane. Crollo has his fun cloth, which allows him to shrink whatever is covered in the cloth until it can fit within his palm. Maki has no resistance to this, and once at that size, she is literally food. Win condition right there, and he has all of his other troop members to distract Maki or immobilize her to set it up if need be, although like I said, Crollo would already be massively faster than her. I mean, even something as seemingly benign as Crollo's knife is still cooking Maki by feats. Crollo's knife is coated with such a potent poison that even 0.1 milligrams of it can paralyze an entire whale. Maki has no resistance feats to this. If Crollo even scratches her, the fight is over. Again, I don't know why this was ignored. What is the point of making a Phantom Troop video if you're not going to talk about like what they alright, anyway.
But it's probably a worst case scenario for the troop if they are all grouped up and Maki was bloodlusted.
It does get even worse if you take that scenario super literally and take all the Phantom Troop in character, because most of the time they're too prideful to try to jump their enemy. Uvogan demanded the rest of the troop stay out so that he could fight the Shadow Beast and the Mafia. The rest of the troop were literally gonna let Phaeton die before they jumped in to help him fight Zazan. It's just really bad if you take it that way, because then she's just 1v1ing a bunch of people that are weaker and less skilled than she is.
Is the series being read? Is the series being watched, bro? Like, I don't understand. Like, are you going to a wiki? Are you going to Reddit? Or are you ChatGPT? Because I don't know how this argument can register as logical to someone who has actually a baseline familiarity with the series. Like, I don't get it. The framing of the Phantom Troop as some uncoordinated, overly prideful band of misfits with no level of teamwork, synergy, or finesse is dishonest, silly, and stupid. The two examples you are citing, with Uvogan fighting the Shadow Beast and Phaeton fighting Zazan, have one thing in common. One thing. Can you guess what that is? Where's Crollo? The leader of the troop, where's Crollo? He's absent from both of those instances. Crollo, in case you didn't know, because I'm not sure at this point, I'm not sure you know. I'm just gonna clarify, just so we're on the same page. Crollo is the leader of the Phantom Troop. Strategist, all that. He's the leader. Referencing the troop's disjointedness without its leader is tantamount to judging a spider without its head. Yes, I'm sticking that pun in there. Don't add, bro. Get off my day. But when Crollo is leading the troop, we've seen them work perfectly as a unit to pull off layered strategies. For example, under Crollo's leadership, the troop baited Gon and Killua, prodigies, mind you, into tailing Nobunaga and Machi so Finks and Pakunoda could in turn tail them. It was masterfully executed, no bickering, to the point that not even Killua, a genius, could account for that and completely fell for the trap. Killua, a genius, could not deal with the Phantom Troop's coordinated plan of attack. I don't see why you made this argument. I mean, even the idea that the troop is allergic to fighting as a team just baffles me. We have literally seen them do just that. And oh, is that Crollo present during all of this? Huh. So yeah, Maki's getting jumped. I don't understand why. What you think that the Phantom Troupe with Chrollo is just gonna be like, all right, we outnumber this person. All right, let's just, you know, fight them one on one. Let's just fight, send them, run a gauntlet, and we'll just wait idly by. Like what? What? And let's be clear again, the Troupe is faster, the Troupe has numerous win conditions, both of you ignored, and they outnumber Maki. They have range options, mid-range options, close range options. I mean, Maki has no shot of winning here, and several Troupe members honestly alone could easily solo her. So yeah, on the whole, this video just wasn't it. Wrong on every turn. JJK scaling, Hunter x Hunter scaling, just all wrong. Man, it pained me because, you know, some of the videos I do like, you know what I'm saying, with both of them, you know what I'm saying. No disrespect to either of them, obviously. You know, at the end of the day, it's just, you know, it's nothing personal, you know. But that video was trash. Like, I'm not saying they trash. I'm not saying that they stupid. You know, I'm not trying to come no personals or nothing. But that video in itself was trash, garbage. No. But anyway, that's the video. Let me know what y'all think. I kind of like the style of the video too, because I feel like I just have more freedom to like talk like how I normally talk, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, just let me know what y'all want to see in the comments. You want to see another debunk as well? I actually like this format a lot. I really do. I feel like it just lets me like really just get straight to it, you know, not a lot of it. So if y'all want to see a video of you know, send me a video to look into, because I may agree with it, you know, I'm not just gonna force a debunk, but you know, if I disagree with it, you know, just slide me a video, you know what I'm saying, and I'll get to it. But yeah, easy out.